Being a mentor has been an extraordinary honor. One of the organizations I mentor with is Vanderbilt University's The Wondery, which is their Entrepreneur and Innovation Center. Today's guest is my mentee. She has been an entrepreneur for some time now, but her latest innovation is going to take her so far. We have a transparent and vulnerable conversation on today's podcast as she shares the highs and the lows of the entrepreneurial life. The entrepreneurial life is not for the faint of heart. It takes guts, resilience, confidence. There are good days, there are bad days, and there are everything in between. This is a special edition episode, Get Stuff Done, with Kellie Geisel. On today's episode of the GSD Factor podcast, I'm excited to have Kellie Geisel, who's actually one of my mentees at the Vanderbilt Innovation Center, The Wondery. Hi, Kellie. How are you today?
Whoa! Thanks for the intro. I'm good. Just working through all the things entrepreneurship this week, but glad to be here and thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. So on today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about Kellie's entrepreneurial journey as a female founder. This is going to be a Get Stuff Done episode so that our fellow college students and college mentees can also listen in on it, as well as our mentees on the high school side. So we will be sharing all things entrepreneurial, and hopefully this will be an encouragement to those young entrepreneurs out in the world, whether you're in high school or college, as you are working to dream big and be those innovating solutionists of our future generation and future leaders. But before we kind of dive into Kellie's entrepreneurial story, Kellie, why don't you share a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so Kellie Geisel. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, born and raised. I am currently a consultant at UI. I do supply chain consulting, and I have a number of other businesses right now on the side going on. Misha is so kindly helping me with one of my product ideas, and we'll get into that a little bit further. But I also have my own podcast as well called The Tea with Kellie G, which features entrepreneurs from the Charlotte area, so supporting small businesses, seeing how they built their brand and built their business as well. And then I also have a little travel business called Solino Travel Co., primarily focused on honeymoons and baby moon travel, but I can plan any travel that you need or want. Let's see what else. I went to Wake Forest University for undergrad, and then I moved across the pond to Scotland and got my master's in international business and emerging markets over there. I focused kind of on the VC world and entrepreneurship for my master's thesis. So I've always enjoyed talking about entrepreneurship. Hopefully I can provide some insight to you guys.
Awesome, Kellie. So obviously you're a serial entrepreneur, which I love and can relate to as well. What do you think has been one of the biggest challenges that you have faced, no matter which business you've started? What do you think is the biggest challenge that you faced as a founder and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I mean, Misha and I were just talking a little bit earlier about the time commitment and juggling all these things, but I actually think one of the biggest challenges that I faced was getting started with any of these ideas or product or whatever it might be. It kind of took me up until, so I had the idea for the Tea with Kellie G in my head for 2.5 years before I started it. And I was so nervous to actually start start the podcast because I was like, what will people think of me? What will people think of my voice? Everyone hates their voice when they're on any podcast or any phone call or voicemail or whatever it might be. So that was one of my biggest fears. And then with my product idea, I had this idea almost 4 years ago. I'll never forget just like waking up in the middle of the night at 4 in the morning. And I was like, I have to sketch out this idea and put it on paper. And I did. And I remember I was just in my apartment and it was like 5:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll go back to sleep now. I don't know if this will ever work, but um, it took so long too. I think it took another 2 years for me to get to the point of being like, okay, I need to do this. I need to build this product, and keep going. So all that combined, that kind of came up last year with my travel business. People were coming to me saying, you've traveled a lot. I need you to help me like plan this trip. And I loved doing it. It was so great. But I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to start my podcast, and then I'm going to, well, actually reversed, but I think the biggest challenge, and then working on my product now and the Wondery programs, Ideator and Builder, um, I just had so many things going on that I was overwhelmed by starting anything. And then B, once I started it, it's now been juggling all of the things of being an entrepreneur because on top of that, and I'll tell everyone this, and I said this in my podcast the other week, is I can't and won't quit my day job right now until any of these become a viable business model. And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of effort from, I work some days from 7 to 7 p.m. And then after that, if I have the energy, or on the weekends, I'm working on these other things. So having the confidence to start, having the time commitment to juggle it, and then ultimately just being able to do it.
So many great lessons and nuggets there, Kellie. I think one of the things that I heard, right, is just start, right? Keep showing up, just do something, right? When you are looking at this massive idea and you're dreaming big, you start with that dream and then you go, oh, how am I going to get there, right? And I think what you're talking about is, just starting something, taking those first couple steps, not waiting, just trying it out, talking about it, and ideating it a little bit more. I think you would agree that's probably one of those biggest steps is building that confidence to say, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do that first podcast. It's not going to be right the first time, but I'm going to try and I'm going to fail fast and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I think with my podcast, the amount of times I re-recorded my first like 10 minutes, it was the intro. It was like, what am I going to say? And now, and I remember I created a full script for that first podcast. And now all the conversations I have are free flowing. But yeah, I think it's important to just recognize that you're capable of more than you think. So actually just starting something is super important. And I know a lot of the entrepreneurs I interview as well, they say, I took the risk and I took the leap of faith and I just quit my corporate job. And I think where I struggle is that right now I can't do that. And I do have to find a way to kind of stick with all these things and be ingrained in my day to day still. So, I mean, good on the other people. And I think ultimately it does take you to say, okay, I am going to risk this at some point, but not today.
That's right. It's being intentional and saying, and having a plan and saying that's something for down the road, but it's not something for now. So let's pivot and talk about, your idea and your product that you're building out. Can you share with everybody just a little bit of a tidbit about what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, so it's the product is a universal bag for breastfeeding, pumping mothers. I won't go into the actual, I guess, details of what that would look like, but it's to be able to provide a space where mothers can take everything they need for them and baby while on the go or traveling, targeted towards the mobile mom is a word I'm using as of late, but it's very exciting, a very fun space to develop. It's funny because I'm not a mother, so I don't know the daily struggle of what moms go through, but it's fun interviewing all these moms because these moms don't have time to do it. They're super moms. They don't have time to build other products while they have three kids on their hip and they're trying to go about their daily life. So um, definitely been really fun just trying to build that and keep going.
What I love is that you saw a problem, right, with a fellow coworker. You saw a problem and you said, I can build a solution for that. And even though you are not a mom yet, is that, the fact is that you saw a fellow working woman and you saw her struggling and you said, let me come up with a solution. And I think that even if we haven't experienced something individually, I think that really is powerful in the fact that you you identified a problem, you came up with a solution, and you're putting it into action. And it's really exciting to see. And as we follow your journey and follow your story, I think it's going to be really fun. And we will certainly look forward with anticipation on that product rollout eventually. But talk to us
Yes.
a little bit about that journey around. You've done a lot of practicing and pitching as you're pitching your idea, those practice pitches. And so I think that's, I don't know that I necessarily hear a lot about entrepreneurs talking about the pitch and what has to happen during the pitch and all the different things and the components. And, a lot of times pitches are timed, whether it's, 99 seconds or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But talk to us a little bit about, you know, how you've prepared for those pitches and, what has kind of gone through your head as you practiced those.
Yeah, well, Misha knows how I was about to lose my mind in the Renaissance Women's Summit. I don't think I've ever been that sweaty or like sweaty palms, knees weak, arms are heavy, all that stuff. Um, so it is a lot of work, I guess, to prepare a pitch, and you so kindly helped me with everything that I did to prepare for the most recent pitch. Most of these pitches are only, it is like Shark Tank. It's only 2 to 3 minutes, if that. I mean, we just spoke about another one that's 99 seconds. And it's really about how do you tell your story in such, what is your elevator pitch? It's like, how do you tell it in 2 seconds to get someone interested enough in investing or buying into your product? It's like, why would they actually need that? So there's a lot of work that goes into the actual pitch deck and thinking about your story and really knowing your own story, I think is important. You have to know your own product. You have to know what you're offering to the point where it's like, why would someone not buy this somewhere else or go out to a competitor and buy this? So the pitching aspect takes a lot. It takes a lot of iterations. I think I pitched and repitched to myself and you and Derek, my fiance, and my dad and my mom and everyone maybe 30, 40 times a day before I finally got this together. And even still, I may have messed up in the actual pitch and I was so nervous. So the whole process though is a lot for what it comes down to of 2 minutes. It's like, okay, you have to do all this preparation and then what for? And in the recent pitch I didn't get the funding, which was fine. It was an incredible experience, but you just have to keep practicing and keep pitching your product and keep driving towards an idea. And that's a goal of mine this year is to just try to keep pitching if I can so that I am building my brand, I'm building my network of people. Hopefully no one steals the product, but building people that would actually buy it. And you never know, someone might see it and just recognize that it is a great idea and be like, hey, I'd love to invest in that. So you never know. I don't think you know anything until you put yourself out there.
Absolutely. And I think it was the practice, right? And we talked about how research is showing us now from a marketing perspective that you really only have somewhere between 4 to 7 seconds to engage someone. And so I
Yeah.
think, we really worked on that of, using those precious up to 7 seconds to really engage
Yeah.
and say why, and having that visual component so that people were engaged and they wanted to learn more. And it's also leaving those carrot trails for the audience members so that they can track and follow. And I think that that's really important. It's also keeping that pitch really short and tight so that the message is very clear. They understand what you're pitching. They understand, does it resonate for them? Does it resonate for someone else? Are they interested in it? And I think, you've now done a couple different pitches. You have a couple more coming up. And I think the biggest thing with pitches for entrepreneurs is just continue, making sure that it's tailored to the right audience based on, whatever that pitch competition is. But I think it's just the process of doing it over and over again.
Yeah. I liked what we had talked about, Guy Kawasaki. Is that his
Yes.
name? Yeah. I liked that 30-20-10 or 10-20-30 rule, whatever it was, but having like big font on a PowerPoint, having minimal less than 10 slides. I'm probably butchering this. Less than 10 slides, less than 20 minutes, and 30 size font on a PowerPoint. So that really too, I think, help gets your point across because you aren't spending your time or spinning your wheels reading what's on a slide. And I think in consulting, like we do that so often is like we pack slides with detail and it's often needed, but it was really hard, I think, reverting to like on my one like market segment side, there's just two numbers and that was it. So it's really interesting how that happens, but definitely a different mindset from.
Absolutely. All right. So something I've been asking all my guests for 2024, what is Kellie powerfully choosing?
I was telling Misha my goal for this year, what I'm powerfully choosing is not to lose my mind, but I don't think that's it. I am planning a wedding, so there's a lot involved, but I do think I am powerfully choosing to, I think, stay confident and keep what we were talking about being imaginative because it's so hard to get let down in an entrepreneurial journey when you're like, gosh, this just really isn't going my way. I didn't get the funding, this product's over, whatever it might be. I mean, I've been working on this product for 4 years and I don't know by the powers vested in me how I've kept going. But it's just one of those things where you do have to keep going. So I'm choosing to continue to be confident in myself and be confident in my product because I am excited and I know it's something that could really work. So I don't want to give up on it. Alongside
Now,
not losing my marbles, that is what I am actually powerfully choosing.
well, and you're also powerfully choosing resilience in that, right? In that there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, there's good moments and bad moments, but you're going to
Yep.
continue to show up because you've dreamed big about this and you're going to continue to take those steps, continue to show up, and I'm very proud of you. And I think that that is a great lesson to leave our entrepreneurs with that are listening to this is that no matter how long it takes, as long as you still have that idea and you still have that belief and you're making some progress, keep going. and keep taking those steps and keep asking for help. And, we highly encourage you to look for your local entrepreneurial and innovation centers, whether they're with the universities or your public school systems or just in the greater business areas. I think that they're super important, and they can provide you that support, and just know that you're not alone. And I hope that today's episode of GSD Factor, a special edition of Get Stuff Done, has been an encouragement to you entrepreneurs around your confidence and your being imaginative, as well as being resilient. And Kellie, thank you so much for joining us. How can people get in touch with you?
Thank you for having me. You can get in touch with me anyway. LinkedIn, my name is Kellie Geisel, Geisel. You can follow my podcasts on Instagram, Tea with Kellie G podcast, or I can give Misha my email as well, and she can drop it in the episode. So if you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them and just chat. Or if you're an entrepreneur and want to bounce ideas off each other, more than happy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kellie. We appreciate it. Thank you to our listeners. And don't forget to get stuff done.
Thanks for listening to the GSD Factor podcast. If you liked this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, where you can also find previous episodes. Let's also connect on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you're looking for more information on the GSD Factor, visit us at gsdfactor.com.